In Desert and Wilderness, Henryk Sienkiewicz, Chapter 3. The two engineers left the next night for Cairo, where they were to visit the English resident and have an audience with the Khedive. Staś estimated that it might take them 2 days, and he was right, for on the third evening he received a telegram from his father, already in Medinet. The tents are ready. You are to depart as soon as your vacation begins. Tell Fatma, through Chadiji, that we could do nothing for her. Mrs. Olivier received a similar telegram and immediately began travel preparations with the help of the black maid, Dinah. The sight of the luggage filled the children's hearts with joy. But suddenly an accident occurred that upset all plans and could even cancel the trip entirely. On the very day Staś's winter holidays began, and on the eve of departure, Mrs. Olivier was stung by a scorpion while dozing in the garden. Although such creatures are not usually deadly in Egypt, this time the sting was serious. The scorpion crawled along the canvas chair and struck her neck just as she leaned back. Since she had previously suffered from erysipelas on her face, there was fear the illness might return. The doctor arrived only 2 hours later, as he was occupied elsewhere. Her neck and face were swollen, fever appeared, and symptoms of poisoning set in. The doctor forbade travel and ordered her to bed, meaning the children might spend Christmas at home. It must be said that Nell, especially at first, thought more of her teacher's suffering than of her own disappointment. She cried quietly, sad that she would not see her father for weeks. Staś, however, refused to accept defeat. He sent a telegram and then a letter asking what they should do. After 2 days, an answer arrived. Mr. Rawlinson had spoken with the doctor and, learning that the danger was over but travel forbidden due to risk of relapse, arranged care for Mrs. Olivier. He then granted permission for the children to travel with Dinah. Staś was to act as guide and treasurer, a role that filled him with pride and excitement. He gallantly assured little Nell that not a single hair on her head would be harmed, as if the road to Cairo and Medinet were full of dangers. Since all preparations were ready, they left that same day, first by canal to Ismailia, and from there by train to Cairo, where they would spend the night before continuing to Medinet. As they departed Ismailia, they saw Lake Timza, which Staś knew well because his father, an avid hunter, had often taken him there to hunt waterfowl. Their route followed Wadi Tumilat, alongside the Sweetwater Canal from the Nile to Ismailia and Suez. It had been dug before the Suez Canal to provide drinking water for the workers. The canal's creation had another benefit. The once barren land bloomed again, nourished by the flow of fresh water. From the train window, the children saw green fields, meadows full of horses, camels and sheep, and farms of corn, millet and alfalfa. Along the canal were great water wheels and wells used by fellahs to irrigate their land. Pigeons flew over the grain, and flocks of quails rose from the meadows. Storks and cranes walked solemnly along the canal banks. In the distance, above the clay huts of the fellahs, palm trees waved like plumes. North of the railway, however, stretched the true desert, and like the flat sands beyond the Suez Canal. There, the ground looked like an ancient seabed. Here, the sand was golden and heaped into large mounds dotted with sparse grey vegetation. Between them lay wide valleys, sometimes crossed by long caravans. From the train, the children could see loaded camels walking in a line, each led by an Arab in a black cloak and white turban. The sight reminded little Nell of Bible pictures she had seen at home. Israelites entering Egypt in the time of Joseph. It looked the same. Unfortunately, she couldn't see well because 2 English officers were sitting by the window on that side. When she told Staś, he stood, tipped his hat and said solemnly, "Gentlemen, would you kindly make room for this little miss who wishes to see the camels?" The officers smiled and one of them lifted Nell onto the seat by the window. Stas began his lecture. This is the ancient land of Goshen, which Pharaoh gave to Joseph for his brothers. In ancient times, a canal already ran here. This one is its renewal, but later it fell into ruin and the land became desert. Now it grows fertile again. And how does the young gentleman know that? One officer asked. At my age, such things are known, said Stas seriously. Besides, Professor Sterling lectured on Wadi Tumilat not long ago. Although Stas spoke English fluently, his accent caught the attention of the second officer. Are you not English, young gentleman? He asked. The little miss is English, replied Stas. Her father entrusted her to my care for the journey. I am Polish, the son of an engineer working on the canal. The officer smiled. I have great respect for Poles. My cavalry regiment fought several times against Polish lancers in the days of Napoleon, and it remains our pride. Pleased to meet you, sir, said Stas. The conversation flowed easily after that. The officers were traveling from Port Said to Cairo for instructions from the British ambassador. The younger was an army doctor. The elder, Captain Glenn, was to go from Cairo through Suez to Mombasa and take command of the region extending to the unknown land of Samburu. Stas, an avid reader of African travel books, knew Mombasa lay just beyond the equator and was full of elephants, giraffes, and buffaloes. He envied the captain deeply and declared he would one day visit Mombasa and hunt lions with him. Very well, laughed Captain Glenn, pointing at Nell. But bring this little miss along. Miss Rawlinson has a father, said Stas proudly. I am only her guardian on the road. At this, the doctor suddenly asked, Rawlinson, one of the canal directors, the one with a brother in Bombay. My uncle lives in Bombay, said Nell, raising her small finger. Then your uncle, darling, is married to my sister, cried the doctor. My name is Clary. We are relatives. The doctor was truly delighted. He said that upon arriving in Port Said, he had inquired about Mr. Rawlinson, but was told he was away for the holidays. He regretted that the ship to Mombasa was leaving in a few days, preventing a visit to Medinet, that he promised to write to Nell from Mombasa. From then on, both officers devoted their attention mainly to Nell, while Stas sat quietly aside. At every station, mandarins, dates, and sorbets appeared, enjoyed by Stas, Nell, and the ever-hungry Dinah. Thus, the journey to Cairo passed quickly and happily. At farewell, the officers kissed Nell's hands and head, and shook Stas' hand warmly. Captain Glenn, who liked the brave boy, said half seriously, half in jest, Listen, my boy. Who knows where and under what circumstances we may meet again. Remember, you can always count on my friendship and help. And likewise, sir, replied Stas with a proud bow. End of chapter 3.